Yo, what's up, people? I'm your host, Jay Will, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. This is episode 242, When Being Broke is a Sin. Woo, I know that's just offensive right off rip. So, we're going to talk about being broke, why it's a sin, when it's a sin in particular. We're going to talk about 10 versions, 10 talents, and the number one way to get a return on your investment. All right, so let me jump right in with a disclaimer. First and foremost, look, if you find some value in this content, please do like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Look out on YouTube daily for the shorts that I share out. Just some, messages to inspire you in the morning, in the afternoon, as you go throughout your day. We take these episodes, we chop them up into those little small digestible sound bites that everybody likes to share. So, all right, let's jump right into it. First, I got to give a disclaimer because today we're going to talk about money. Repeat after me, please. Money. Um, People get offended when you talk about money. People take money out of context all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, what we're going to attempt to do is talk about money in a fair, in a reasonable way, from a Christian perspective, in a healthy way. First things first, we don't serve money over here. So, if you are just getting hip to Inspire God's People, I'm getting old, bro. Getting hip to if you guys are just getting hip to the show, that's a wild way to start. If you just getting up on Inspire God's People, then and you haven't seen our other 241 episodes, no problem. Let me just lay out a couple of disclaimers for you. Always a Christian perspective, always a sound biblical perspective. Attempting to be that, always open to continue to learn. Do I know everything? No. Am I always right? No, I'm not. That's all good. But the intention, the goal, the purpose of when we come together on this show is to talk about things from a biblical perspective. There's a couple reasons I love talking about money. Number one is really because I feel like people don't actually understand money for the most part. I don't think the average person walking around has a proper relationship or understanding of money. And when you don't have a good understanding of money, you could be easily manipulated. You also, when you don't have a good understanding or education around money, you can also be serving money. You can be going after monetary things with the wrong intention. Last but most certainly not least, I personally think the things that you learn as it relates to money, in particular, when you think about coming out of poverty, like I had to do, like so many people have to do out here, when you think about the principles and the things that you need to be able to achieve that, in my mind, they line up biblically. Like when I read the Bible, a lot of the principles and things that I grab actually came from the Bible. And when you read the Bible, you realize, like, yo, this stuff is the same. So, what am I saying? The same principles and tools that it takes you to go from like not having money to having money are some of the same principles and tools that it takes you to go from not living for God to living for God, from being a toxic person out here in this world to being a productive person out here in this world, from being greedy to being a giver, from being selfish to being selfless. So a lot of the ways that I like to explore financial and money topics are through the lens of this dual lens. And let me just say this, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't rocked with my music, check out J Will Music. I am a rapper. And as a rapper, I like to, write. I'm a lyricist. I like to write lyrics and think through things through entendres, right? So phrases that have at least two meanings. Double entendre, two meanings. Triple entendre. Some of my bars is triple entendres. Super layered. That means I could say one thing in a bar and it has three meanings. So what am I saying here? I believe that Jesus was the first rapper. I'm exaggerating with that because I don't know that literally. Like, I'm not meaning that to be literal for my literal people, but I do believe Jesus, when I read parables, I'm like, yo, he had bars. He was hitting entendres. What are parables? He was talking in a way where it meant multiple things. And I think a lot of times when we look at parables, like some of us only try to look at the natural side. Some of us only look at the spiritual side. But parables are entendres, meaning they mean multiple things. And today we're going to look at the spiritual side of entendres, but we also going to look at the natural side of entendres and what's actually being said, because I think Those are a lot of the things put together that will allow you to go from being broke to having maybe a couple dollars. Last part of my disclaimer, right? I know this is kind of a lengthy disclaimer. I don't care how much money you have. You shouldn't care how much money I have. We're talking about financial principles. This is not about being rich. I'm not trying to convince you that you need to be rich. This is about being a good steward first and foremost. How do I take care of what God has given me? Be a good steward. That's the foundation of this. So, if you get offended at some things I say, I do want to say this. I tend to talk about financial things from more of a raw perspective, mostly because I've been on both sides of the tracks. Like, I started off with absolutely nothing. I've experienced poverty, and I know what it's like not to have money. I also know what it's like to make a little bit of money and misuse it. Meaning, I got money now, but my mind is still stuck in poverty. And so today we're going to try to cleanse your mind. We're going to try to give you some tools, some thoughts, some resources, some beginning things you could do to think about how do I grow financially, spiritually, mentally, all at the same time? All right. Is that good enough? Was that a good disclaimer? Maybe it was. Hopefully y'all enjoy this. Please share this and like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. So let's jump into it. From a foundational standpoint, I already told you, we don't serve money over here. And so you have to first get your mind together when you start thinking about money, because a lot of times being broke and living in poverty is a mental thing. So this ain't about don't this is what people do online, right? When you talk about things like this, people will think of the one extreme reason why you can be broke. Well, I only got, I don't want to even use an example, right? Like, it's some excuse people have. Don't think of the excuse. Don't think of the exception, think of the rule. And so my whole position is, number one, if you're taking notes, here's your first thing to write down. If you don't control your money will control you. The problem with some of us is when it comes to money, we think that we could just live with no plan, with no vision. And somehow we lie to ourselves to make ourselves think, well, if you have a plan, or if you have a budget, or if you have a vision with money, you serve money. No, it's the other way around. Me having a plan, a budget, and a vision for my money is me putting my money in its place. It's me grabbing a belt and telling my money, go sit over there where I told you. Go over there where I told you to sit at, cuz. But see, some of us, when we're in poverty, meaning that, I want you to think about poverty from this. Not a person that can't earn funds. There will always be poor people among us. We're not pointing the finger if you poor. This ain't about that. This is for the person who has a poverty mind, meaning you are living in poverty simply because of your decisions and the behaviors and the things you're doing. You making money. You living check to check. If you're living check to check, that means you get in a check. So let's check it out. If you don't control your money will control you. What does that mean? Some of y'all money is like Debo in your life. Your money, like your check come in and your money like, what up, cuz? Run that. We about to do this, that, and the other. You have no control over your money, so your money is controlling you. What I'm about to talk about is not saying that being broke is a sin, meaning generally. We're going to talk about when being broke is a sin. There's a difference. Look at somebody. There's a difference. All right, when being broke is a sin. What up, Rod? Hope you're doing good, bro. All right, so let's jump into the word. I want to actually just read the Bible real quick because I think this is really a good starting point with this whole thing. We're going to read Matthew chapter 25. Hold on, that's not what I want to share. Let's remove that. Cool. This thing is all right, my bad. Let's go here. Stop that screen. Let's remove that. My bad, people. I had this ready to share and then stuff start acting crazy. All right, let's share the screen. Let's try that again. Matthew chapter 25. Is that right? Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's jump right into the Bible, y'all. We're going to read Matthew chapter 25. This is the Christian Standard Bible, I think. The parable of the 10 virgins. Now, remember I told you, I believe that Jesus was the first rapper, meaning Jesus had bars. Jesus talked in parables and let us know, like, yo, this means more than one thing. So let's start reading this, the parable of the 10 virgins. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the groom. All right. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. All right, hold on. I got to stop. I'm going to go back and forth with this because I got to tell you, we got to break it down. You got 10 versions, right? 10 people in the room. 5 of them foolish, 5 of them wise. What's the first takeaway that I want you to take away from this? We all created equal, but we don't all act equal. Yeah. Like we created equal, like the substance, the value of who we are. Like, yes, God loves us all. But once we pop out and you're born in the earth, you build habits, you have a life, maybe some things happen to you, whatever it is, I don't have all the answers. But I know this one thing, like we not all the same. Like we equal, but we not the same. What do I mean? 10 people in the room. In this case, 5 foolish, 5 wise. What does that mean? That mean as you're looking around the world, people, as we going throughout this life, I'm looking and I'm like, yo, it's foolish people out here acting a fool. It's wise people out here. It would be wise for us to find a way to be amongst the wise. So that's the first thing I want to say is like, yo, there are wise people, there are foolish people. Some of us just go around trusting everybody, hanging with everybody, doing any and everything, don't want to separate ourselves. We want to be everybody's friend. Everybody's not going to love or like what you say or what you do. That don't mean they got to hate you. But the fact of the matter is, there's some foolish people, it's some wise people out here. I want to be amongst the wise. All right. That's not me. That's the Bible, people. Let's jump back into it. All right. So you got the foolish, you got the wise. Verse 2, five of them were foolish, 5 were wise. 3, when the foolish took their lamps, they didn't take oil with them. But the wise ones took oil in their flasks with their lamps. So you got these virgins that are waiting on this groom. The 5 ones that were wise, right? They took some oil with them, not just their lamps. The foolish ones did not. They come on, they took their lamps, but they didn't take oil. They didn't take what they needed, right? They made a bad decision. And I want to first say, like, sometimes we're blaming people for our situation. But if you go and track back, it's like, oh, you had a lamp, you had oil in the beginning, you had faith, you didn't bring it with you. All right, cool. Let's keep going for somebody to get mad. When the groom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. All right, hold on. I got to keep stopping and giving you the key points of this whole situation. Like, the wise took their lamps and they brought what they were going to need. They had a plan. The foolish just went out there with the lamps with no oil, like, yeah, it is what it is. But then they got out there and what they were waiting on was the groom. He was delayed, right? So when you think about that, there are things that you want in life. There are things that you're expecting in life, that you're even having faith for in life, but you still have to do the right thing and plan and bring the right resources with you as you're having faith. All right, cool. All right, cool. I don't want to make nobody mad, so I'm going to keep going. All right, cool. Verse 6. In the middle of the night, there was a shout. Here's the groom. Come out to meet him. Man, why you have to see if you'd have came in the daytime, you wouldn't have needed your lamp. You wouldn't have needed your oil. But things don't just happen when you expect them to all of the time. All right, cool. And we also know, let's talk about the spiritual side of this. We're talking about being prepared for the return of Christ. As believers, we should have a mindset to be prepared. The reason I'm talking about these things in this parable is an entendre, a double entendre. The idea is that really you can do both. You should be doing both. Spiritually, we should be preparing ourselves, living for God proactively, being wise in our walk with Christ and living it out in the way that he would call us to. And then also it should be mirrored in the natural life in this world day to day. Like some of us think we got to be super spiritual and do that part. Great, cool. You do have to do that. But then naturally we just sloppy and nasty and our money run us. We don't have no discipline. And it's like, yo, why does your natural life not reflect your spiritual life? Like, where do we get the idea that they shouldn't mirror each other? That the decisions, the disciplines that you're building, the way you carry yourself should not be mirroring. And I think some of us, I don't want to offend nobody. Like some of us don't realize that the behaviors in our natural, right? Like some of the things we doing, it's actually a mirror into our soul and our spirit. And the fact that really on the spiritual side, you kind of nasty too, Jay. Like really on the spiritual side, you lack discipline as well, right? I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about you. Verse 7. Then all the virgins got up and trimmed their lamps, right? So the groom comes, all the virgins get their lamps. The foolish one said to the wise, give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out. Hold on. I got to stop sharing real quick and kick it on this. The foolish ones, because they didn't bring their oil with their lamps, once it was time, a need came in place. Their expectation was, yo, let me lean on the people that did the right thing. Like, yo, you got your oil, like, let me get some of that oil. And I always think about this in this way. I do a lot of flying and traveling. And when you're on the airplane and they do the safety check, they always say when it comes to like getting that oxygen mask in an emergency situation and putting your little flotation device on, they always say, don't try to help nobody else before you help yourself. And that sounds harsh, doesn't it? I know it sounds harsh because some of us, we just operate off of emotion. We don't want to think logically about anything. We don't want to dig deeper into the entendres. We just want it to be on the surface. And that just sounds wrong. It doesn't sound right not to help someone else first. Yeah, you're a fool. Because if you don't first put on your safety and have your mask, you won't even have enough strength to help somebody else. So, what is my whole point? You can't just go in. People would feel entitled that, like, yo, oh, you got a flotation device, help me. It's like, no, first I gotta get myself together. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with getting yourself together before you can help someone else, right? And I'm saying you should help people. You should be a giver. But don't you think you could be more of a giver the more you have? And the problem with some of us is like we can't even build something. I'm trying to build a house, but you're taking the bricks as I'm building. I can't get past one story because you looking like, hey, you got a story, I need a story. You taking my bricks. Let me build a house, bro. And I'm saying this in particular because when you look in the Bible, look what the Bible says. Like what happened when the 10 virgins that the foolish ones, okay, here we go. Verse 8. The foolish one said to the wise ones, give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out. But how did they respond? The wise ones answered, no, there won't be enough for us and for you. Go instead to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. The wise ones are sitting here saying, you want to take my oil, but if I give you my oil, there won't be enough for me to get there. What I'm learning as a believer on our walk with Christ is that some of us we get online and we want to correct everybody else. We want to tell everybody else about their life and react to every video and everything. And it's like, bro, you don't even got enough oil for your own lamp. You not even ready for Christ to return. But you sitting here telling everybody else what they should be doing and you reacting whatever. So like this is one of the things you should be writing down if you're taking notes. Get yourself together. I'm talking to me too. Let's get ourselves together. What does that mean? It means put your flotation device on, put on your oxygen mask so that then you can go and help other people. But first you have to get yourself together. Some of us has been going year after year after year after year, making bad decisions, leaving the oil behind, and we have not gotten ourselves together. Get yourself together. And you will understand once you get some oil and once you start planning, yo, this oil has to last me to this point. Yo, I can't give you my oil because it won't be enough for both of us. So why would I allow us both to drown? Because you didn't do what you were prepared to do. On this walk with Christ, we can preach the gospel. You can share the gospel. You should be a disciple. But you're not God. And I say that to say you can't control everybody else's behaviors and their decisions. And there's going to be times in this walk with Christ where somebody hear the same directions you hear. They had the same opportunity. Y'all got the oil and the lamps at the same time, but they didn't want to carry their oil. They were being lazy potentially. You ain't want to carry your oil, but I walked around with this lamp and this oil because I knew what I was expecting. And I wanted to be prepared for the expectation. And when it comes time to be able to use the resources that I carried this far, I'm not wrong if I don't want you to take all of mine and all of yours and we both drown. All right. I'm only talking about what the Bible say. I'm only talking about what the Bible say right here. Let's keep it going. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, verse 10. When they had gone to buy some, the groom arrived, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Ah, that's tough. Later, the rest of the virgins also came and said, Master, Master, open up for us. He replied, Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore be alert, because you don't know neither the day or hour. All right. So in this parable, the door was shut. I don't want the door to be shut on me. I don't want the door to be shut on you. What are we talking about here? Some of us live in this life and we have not given our lives to Christ. We have not accepted Christ and the call that he has on our life. We're not ready. We're not prepared. We don't got the faith in our lamp. We don't have what we need. We haven't accepted him. We don't have salvation. So if he comes back, we won't be prepared. And the thing is, once the door is shut, we can't beg for it to be open because we don't know the day or the hour when he could return. We don't know the day or hour of anything. And so what does that mean? In this life, I got to live prepared. I got to be proactive. I have to have faith, carry my faith with me everywhere I go because I don't know when I'm going to need it most. Now, when you think about financially, right, there's a couple things I want to now focus on from the financial part of this. Look, I'm learning more and more in life. You can want the best for people, but until they change their own mind and want what's best for themselves, there's nothing you could do. You also can't help people until you help yourself. And I'm going to get to some practical things that we can do to get our own finances in order. Some of us are trying to help people and you don't got your own situation together. And this is something that I see in poverty. And the reason that I'm really pointing this out, and you look in scripture and the door was shut. The wise one said no. And I'm telling you right now, sometimes as a wise person, you're going to have to say no to people who want to take from you what you have. And I understand it because they're looking at you and they thinking you got more than enough oil. But you got to look and be like, yeah, because I was wise enough to carry enough for what I was expected to do. And sometimes that means you got to raise your expectation. But I understand that you can't bring everybody with you. That's one of the hardest parts of life. But you got to understand you're not God. And some of us, because we want to bring everyone with us, we actually live disobedient by giving them our oil, knowing we shouldn't be giving our oil away, but we giving it to them out of emotion. And then we both end up in this cycle. I see this in poverty all the time. If you grew up around poverty, you see this where it's a crab in a barrel kind of mindset. Sometimes it's like nobody can have anything because the moment that one person gets anything, everybody wants it. So it's like, yo, you can't get out because we are pulling you down because we don't want to carry the oil. Man, that's tough, ain't it? But at the end of the day, we all had the same opportunity. You, if you weren't lazy, had the opportunity to carry your oil with you. All right, well, let's keep it moving to the next parable because I can tell that somebody's going to get mad at this podcast episode. But I don't want you to, though. I really don't want you to be mad. Let's look at the parable of the talents. Matthew chapter 25 still, verse 14, right? So from one parable to another. For it is like a man about to go on a journey. He called his own servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, all right? Talents, just think about money. We could call it $5. Maybe we should call it something like $5,000. I don't know. Let's talk in thousands. He gave, $5,000 to one, right? Just it's a financial denomination. I'm just using thousands to reflect modern society. To another, he gave 2,000, 2 talents. and to another he gave one. All right, so you got these three servants. Hey, here you go. You get five, you get two, you get one. I'm leaving y'all all some money and I'm about to go. All right. It says depending on each's ability, right? We don't all have the same ability. So some of us want to be millionaires and we don't have the ability to manage $1 million. God will give you what you can handle. Then he went on a journey. And this isn't just about money. God gives us, I believe that one of the key things in here is our gifts that God leaves us behind. God gave you something. All right, yeah, write that down. Hold on. Write that down. Like if you taking notes, say God gave me something. Type it in the comments like God gave me something. We got to remind ourselves sometimes you're not empty-handed, bro. Some of us think like because we live in a society where we compare so much, you looking at other people so much and what they have that you don't have that you can't even see what God gave you. And so some of us aren't using our gifts because we haven't even been convinced ourselves that God actually gave us something. Yeah, you blind to what God gave you. I get it. But he gave you something. So you got to tell yourself that. See, I'm the kind of person that's like, bro, if I'm going to walk and I'm going to believe this, see, some of us, we can't repeat it because we don't believe it. You got to believe it. You have to change your mind. At the end of the day, there's all these influences around us, all these different thoughts and opinions every day. That's why I get away from social media sometimes because it's too much influences, too many opinions. I need to make sure I got the right influences telling me the things that line up with the word of God. And I'm telling you, you got to tell yourself, God gave me something so that you can start believing it. And once you start believing in your mind, your behavior and your decisions will start reflecting your beliefs. God gave me something. All right, let's get back to it. Let's see, where we at? Verse 16. Oh, then he went on a journey immediately. Then the man who received 5 talents. Oh, immediately the man who had 5 talents put them to work and earned 5 more. Okay. All right. He got 10 now. 10 talents. We talked about 10 versions. Now let's talk about this 10 talent mentality. In the same, the man with 2 earned 2 more. Now you got 4. Okay. We getting somewhere. You're gaining interest. All right. I got you. But the man who had 1, he went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. All right. So we gotta deal with this. We gotta deal with this mentality that a lot of us have. Like you looking at people that have more than you and you using that as an excuse to do nothing. That's not an excuse for you to do nothing. As a good steward, it's not about how much I have. If I only have 1,000 and you have 5,000, it's not about me looking at my life and comparing it to everyone. It's about saying, am I doing what's right with the one I got? Some of us ain't even doing right with the one we got because we too busy looking at everybody else. And I get it. It's easy to look at everybody else's life these days because all you got to do is pick up your phone and log into Instagram or Facebook and you can know what everybody's thinking, what they're doing, their latest vacation, how great their church service was, what car they just got, the house, their beautiful kids, their family, how good they dress. You can see all the good of everybody else and at times walk around in this life, if we being real, feeling empty and feeling like, what do I have to offer? But this just a reminder to let you know that God gave you something. He gave you 1. That's more than nothing. He gave you something. And you got to start telling yourself so that you could believe it, so that you could receive the blessings God have for you. Because if you take the one you got and you like, man, I don't really got nothing, and you go hide what God gave you, imagine that. If you hide what God gave you, you can't gain interest on it, which means you can't produce more, which means you can't grow. You can't go anywhere. And that is not where God wants us. All right, let me keep rolling with it. This is great. I love the Bible. Verse 19, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 talents approached, presented 5 more talents, and said, Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I've earned 5 more. That's how we act when we do good. We be ready. Like, come on back. Let me tell you what I did. Verse 21. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy. Oh, yeah, let's go. well done, my good and faithful servant. Some of us quote that, but it's like, but well done about what? Because he took what God gave him and went and put it to work and earned more. All right. The man with 2 talents also approached. He said, Master, you gave me 2 talents. See, I've earned 2 more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy. Notice how he told them the same thing. He still called it a few things when you had 10. He called it a few things when you had 2. That's interesting to me. The man who had received 1 talent also approached and said, Master, I know you. You're a harsh man, reaping where you haven't sown and gathering where you haven't scattered seed. So I was afraid and went off and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. Oh, my God. Out of fear, fear will cause us to dig a hole in the ground and do nothing. His master responded, you evil, lazy servant. Wait a minute. I'm evil and lazy because I didn't do anything with what you gave me. What's happening? Hey guys, what's going on? Anybody here? Knock, knock. Yes, you're evil and lazy. I know it sounds harsh, but the Bible said it, not me. If you knew that I reap where I haven't sown and gather where I haven't scattered, then you should have deposited my money with the bankers, and I would have received my money back with interest when I returned. The Bible says you should have deposited my money with the bankers. I believe that the parable works 2 ways. I believe there's a spiritual side of it, but I don't think we should ignore the natural side of what is clearly written out in the parable. I believe it's like a rap bar, a double entendre that means both things at the same time. And I think we ignore the physical thing that it's saying in the natural. Deposit money with the bankers, receive interest. Okay. How do I use my gift for the glory of God? Go out and use your gift in the kingdom of God. When Jesus comes back, he'll receive interest. What does that mean? You don't just have the soul he gave you, your gift, you as a disciple, more disciples with you. And God comes back like, whoa, you use your gift. And like I came back and it produced all of these souls, all of these people into the kingdom. That's interest. All right, let's keep it moving. So take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. For everyone who has will more. Wait, for to everyone who has, I can talk. Hold on. I can't talk, people. You see the cup there. I can talk. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have more than enough. But from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And throw this good for nothing servant into the outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay. There was a lot there. I didn't say it. The Bible said it, guys. Hold on. Let me take a sip of this. Because I see y'all might get mad at me. That's the Bible that said this. So what are some of our takeaways here? I love that the Bible clearly said, look, God gives you something. You should take it and use it to gain interest so that when Jesus returns, that you will have produced something for the kingdom of God. The Great Commission, go out and make disciples amongst all nations, right? So whatever your gift is, remember, you have to know and believe that God gave me something. Then you have to be a good steward of what he gave you. Meaning, if he gave you a lamp and some oil, carry the lamp, carry the oil, carry them both. If he gave you 5 talents, go do what's right, put the money to work, do the thing God called you to do, use it, and then you will produce more. But if you hide that thing, if you do nothing with it, if you dig a hole in the ground and say, forget it, he will consider you evil and lazy. I didn't say that. The other thing that's interesting, this is the tough part for us to swallow when we come from poverty and we live our life through emotion and ignore logic and ignore principles. The principles say that to the one who has and does the right thing with it, you will be given more. And the one who has nothing, who does nothing, what he has will be taken away. That's the principle, right? But here's how we live in real life. We think that's harsh. We actually think the Bible's wrong based on our behaviors. Because what we go out and do is say, no, like, well, that's not fair that this person is. Well, hold on, wait a minute. You're not God. You know, see, you're not God. I'm not God. Why are we going around judging what's fair and what's not? At the end of the day, we should be telling people to be good stewards and encouraging people to serve God no matter what he gave them, but let him know he gave them something. Now, why is that important? Because the person with 10 talents ended up with 11. That's crazy, ain't it? God took from the person that was late. Like you think about the Bible scripture, like the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. Okay, he called that servant who did nothing, right? Evil and lazy. I think that's wicked. I think that's wicked. And then gave it to the one who he said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many. The wealth of the wicked laid up for the just. The wealth of the lazy person who does nothing, who won't do what God called him to do, ends up finding its way into the hands of the one who is obedient to the call of Christ. Now, I know this is tough, so I want to tell you a couple things. As good stewards, we could take these principles and literally apply them to our natural life as well as our spiritual life. Spiritual first, right? That's most important. We don't serve money, but we don't want money to control us. We want to be good stewards of what God gave us in this natural world. You feel me? Right? We're not looking down on people. We're trying to help people. We're not telling nobody nothing. But if you look in those scriptures, the person with one talent ended up with nothing. They were broke. When being broke is a sin. How do I know it's a sin? Because God said you were a good for nothing servant. When being broke, when you have nothing, you've produced nothing. See, being broke and spiritually is like to be fruitless, like meaning you're not a disciple. I had a song called Seedless Grapes, right? This is what it's about, the Great Commission. It's a whole rap interlude about the Great Commission. If you don't never heard of Seedless Saints, go look up J Will Music, Seedless Saints. You know what I'm saying? On YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. What's my point? At the end of the day, God, right? He wants you to be fruitful. And what we don't realize, now we're about to talk only about money right now. I'm about to go right into money. A lot of us are fruitless with our finances. And it's a lot of layers to why. This is like this is the first of a couple episodes I'm going to try to do on this topic. But I got this document I put together. Now I'm only going to show it to you so you can see what I'm going off, but I'm not about to read all this to you. But it's called The Beginner's Pathway to Success, a comprehensive guide to achieving your goals, created by myself, yours truly. All right, so this is called The Beginner's Pathway to Success. If you're interested in having this, then just maybe email or comment or something like that, and then I will definitely try to send the PDF to you, or maybe somehow link it into the description of the show. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able to link a PDF or not. I don't know how to do that. I guess I could Google it. But here's a couple things I want to give you from The Beginner's Pathway to Success. I created this about a month or two ago. I was actually talking to a family member and trying to help them out and give them some practical things that they could take and learn from. So the first thing I've already kind of talked about being a good steward. So we're not going to go too heavy into that. But when you think about having money, a lot of us, if we counted the money that we've had pass through our hands in the last 10 years, we probably would be surprised at how much money we had. My goal and my intention is to encourage you to be a good steward. I don't care how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much money I have or make or nothing. I don't care. We don't worship money. People with more money aren't better than people with less. This is about how do we make people able to maximize. Because why? I'm sick and tired of seeing people in poverty, bro. Like I grew up in the inner city around poverty. It's in my family. It's all around me. It's been around me all my life. And I'm just like, bro, this is a sickness, especially in the mind. It's such a sickness that it starts off in the natural, but people adopt these behaviors and lack discipline to the point where they can't even function financially. And what we do as Christians is make ourselves think like, oh, money don't matter. So all that matters is we got love and all that. It's like, yeah, you got love, but you also got money and you keep just blowing it and doing the right thing because you're not a good steward. And that's sin. And that's when being broke becomes sin. And I don't want us living in sin based off of money, because we think only like a lot of money equals sin, right? Like that's what we think. No, being controlled by money is sin too. You so controlled by your money, you can't save it. So controlled by your money, you can't invest it. So controlled by your money, you can't resist spending it and using it on things that you don't need. So we talking about being good stewards. Here's some practical things, just some steps, things you might have heard before, but I want to tell you about. Your credit score, it impacts everything. And if you're not a person that has ever worked on improving your credit score, I would advise you pull your credit report, and start with like the smallest thing and pay it off. If you can't afford to pay it off directly, then repurpose funds that you're using for things you don't need, like clothes, shoes, nice restaurants. Repurpose that money on a monthly, weekly basis. And I would advise you to call like the creditors, whoever you owe. So let's say you owe the phone company money, call them, ask for a settlement, right? Ask them for a settlement. If you owe $300, you can ask for some type of settlement. A lot of times they just want their money. I don't know what they're settling these days, but you might be able to do it for 200. And then, hey, maybe a settlement payment plan. I want to give you $200. Can I give you 100 now and 102 weeks? They'll be happy that you called to pay their money. That will come off your credit, and eventually your credit will start to go up. I would do that and rinse and repeat until I can pay off everything on my credit, right? And then what happens is once you build good credit, that puts you in position to get better rates, better interest rates, right? So when you go out and get a car or a home, or you're trying to get approved on any type of loan, when you have a healthier credit score, along with an overall nice financial profile like debt to income ratio, paying on time, and all those things are kind of wrapped in there. Like when you do that, then now you going and you getting a car or a house or whatever at a lower rate, which means you saving money. So your credit score is the first thing. I watch people all the time just walk around having bad credit. Jordans on your feet, like nice clothes, nice shoes, you eating out. So we not talking, you're not broke. You just in a poverty mindset. You feel me? And this is when being broke is a sin. This is when being in poverty is a sin, because you ain't really supposed to be broke. You only broke because you're doing the wrong thing. So first we secure that credit score. You feel me? You secure that and you position yourself. And then I tell people, once you secure it, protect it. Don't get a good credit score and then go out and co-sign for somebody. Again, it's a crab in a barrel thing. People will, in poverty, they will see you doing well and think you should be doing something for them. That don't mean you don't help people. I've helped a lot of people. I help more people than people could imagine me and my wife has helped. And that's not a bad thing, but it can be tough. And I'm not about to make myself the victim in this conversation, but when people think you got just a little bit, like if they think you got anything, it's like, bro, get ready. It's like they call me like I'm Chase Bank, and so it's like, bro, like I am not that. But here's the thing. Go back to the Bible. Even if I was foolish version, I can't give you my oil because it ain't gonna be enough to last me for what I'm trying to do, because you won't carry your oil right. You feel what I'm saying? This is some of the challenges we have with this stuff. That sounds harsh. I don't mean it in a harsh way. What I'm saying this in a way, I'm reading these scriptures and talking through this so that the people who know good and well why you're broke is because you keep making bad decisions. You're a slave to your money. You won't take control of it. You won't resist the temptation of buy any and everything. And so once you wasted all your oil, you spent all your money, then you feel entitled to go to someone else. I'm just trying to say it's one thing to literally be broke and not have the money and need it, than to have the money and just be spending it on bad stuff. And when all your stuff is gone, you want it from someone else. So I'm trying to help people, right? All right. So what's the second thing? Once you establish good credit, here's the second thing you could do. Establish an emergency savings fund. Now, this emergency savings fund, I always say start off with a goal of 500 or 1,000, right? Like for me, I think it was 1,000, me and my wife, like when we wanted to start having our first emergency savings fund, I think it was back in 2012-ish. Then a bill came up unexpected. We were not prepared. And I got tired of being in this circle, in this loop of like, yo, it's a cycle. We don't have it. Once we get it, we do the wrong thing. No, it was like, yo, let's establish an emergency savings fund. This emergency savings fund is for your unexpected needs and responsibilities. This ain't money for you to save and take a trip. This is not money for you to save and buy a purse. And this is where discipline comes in. Because let's say if you got $1,000 in that emergency savings and it's Christmas right now, that ain't the money you spend on it. You're going to have to tell people, I don't have money. And I've done this before. It doesn't mean always that I literally don't have a dime. It means that my money has a different purpose. So I don't have however much money, thousands, to go and buy everybody a Christmas gift this year, because I got to be prepared if one year I remember our water furnace, you woke up in the morning and the furnace, we just needed a new furnace in our house. It was like, at the time, I think that was like 6 years ago, maybe $2,100 that morning. So I woke up not expecting to spend $2,100, but yeah, by about 12 noon, it was a guy in there with a new furnace or new water tank. I'm sorry, hot water tank, not furnace, but a new hot water tank. And it was like, yo, I didn't expect to spend $2,100 today, but because I had an emergency fund for this, we could do it. Right? That's it. All right, let's keep it moving because I'm almost done. I just want to give y'all some practical things. You get your credit score right, you have an emergency savings fund. We on number 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4. Then you get a life savings account. Now, again, there's a bunch of ways to do this. I'm not the best financial guru in the world or something, but my thing is for the people around me to actually give them practical things that they can do and share the things that I have done, me and my wife, and things that have worked for us in ways of being good stewards of the things we have. Not saying we have the most, not saying we out here just killing it and we better than everybody, but just saying, yo, we just trying to rock and do the right thing with what we have and be good stewards of everything, right? And manage it well so that it doesn't control us. And having a life savings account, no, why do you do this? Once we had good credit and then we had a little bit of an emergency fund, it was like, yo, well, we like to take trips. We like to go on vacation. I do like shoes. I really like shoes. I like them a lot. I got more shoes than I can actually wear, to be honest. I don't even go enough places to wear the shoes I have. But it is a guilty pleasure. It is something that I like, right? So let's have a life savings account. What does that mean? This is separate than your bills. This is separate than your emergency fund. This is you now saying, hey, I know I like to spend, let's just make up a number, $2,500 a year on vacations. Great. Okay. Whatever the number, it could be anything. Well, let me prepare for that. Let's actually put money towards that savings account so that when we do want to take a trip, we don't have to touch our bill money. We don't have to touch our emergency money for responsibilities. We have money set aside for lifestyle. So if you have kids, if I had a child, well, if your kid is 5, you know when they're 11, they're going to graduate 5th grade. So you got 5 years to save for the 5th grade suit, the graduation, whatever. Okay, you know your kid, if they're 12 and they're going to be 16 and want a first car, and you're going to buy it, then don't wait till they're 16 and call everybody and say, Juju want a car, y'all. Can can we all come together? And it's like, no, Juju's 16, bro. You had him since he was 0. You could have been putting $100 a year in there and had $1,600, right? Not that would get him a car. I don't know. But my point is this lifestyle savings account is for you to have money for not necessarily unexpected things, but expected spending that you want to have outside of your normal money, right? Now, these behaviors, what start happening is you start being a steward, and now your money has a purpose, and then you have to be disciplined to the purpose of your money, meaning this: I can't give you my emergency money because you have an emergency. That's not how it works. Because like the oil that the 10 virgins have, I don't have enough for me and you, and I can't risk missing the groom because you didn't carry your oil. This is when having any level of financial discipline is very challenging. When you start having discipline and people around you don't, that means they're at risk of the door shutting on them. And you never wanted the door to shut on them, but you know it's going to shut on them if they don't do what they got to do. All right. So that's the third thing. Have a life savings account. Here's the fourth and final thing before I get out of here. This is when you start investing. So now you've kind of like established your foundation financially. You are now building really strong discipline, meaning you have a regular savings account, you have an emergency savings account, your credit score is good. Now you have a lifestyle savings account to like a company for maybe some of your guilty pleasures. Maybe you and your spouse like nice dinners or trip. Like there are going to be things that's okay. You like to spend money on some things and you've done the right things, right? We can reward ourselves, right? We're not being bad stewards. We're not going out and just wasting money on anything, but like there are some things that you might like and that's okay. Now you invest. You got all these things established. Now you go out and you look for ways to grow your money and have your money work for you. So that might mean, as an example, maybe you invest in a mutual fund. These are just examples. And I always encourage people, you have to study and research what you want to invest in because you have to be comfortable with it. And there's a lot to think about when you start investing in companies or different industries. It can't just solely be about the money. And so once you start investing is for the future. Now you're putting aside money, maybe in a 401k or whatever kind of account. Like you're putting aside money that you're just investing. Maybe you like technology and you want to invest in some future cell phone company or cryptocurrency or whatever. Again, do your own research. But my point is, once you start investing, then now you have money. You have now planted money seeds. This is what I call it, and this is how I close this out. They say money don't grow on trees. I just say it's because you haven't planted money seeds. And so when you have money, I look at all the money I get as a seed, meaning, all right, if I want to put money in church, if I want to help somebody here, if I want to invest, if I want to save, I'm planting seeds. And the goal is that one day I'll open my window and look outside and there will be a forest of all the things like, yo, I planted all these seeds. Now, again, spiritually, that means be a disciple, do the right thing, take steps, be intentional with how you treat people. Like you can minister to people without knowing it, right? I had met this lady. We were sitting next to each other in a business, not a business meet, just out as customers. We were sitting next to each other a couple weeks ago, and this lady was so nice, and she ended up being a lady that worked at a church, right? And it just came up organically. I don't know if I told this on the last episode, but it was interesting because this crazy world today, like, oh my gosh, she was a white lady that was at least a little older than I was, right? And I was looking kind of rough that day. So I probably was looking like a goon, even though I'm nowhere near a goon. But I do tend to go outside the house looking bummy through the week, especially in the winter. I'm sorry if you see me out here in these streets. I might be looking rough. I was like, man, I look rough. But like, and when I say that, just meaning I was looking rough. I had on like some random jogging pants, a Scully. Like, I don't know. I wasn't matching. When I go outside in the winter, I just need to be warm, run to the store, wherever I'm going and get back home. So, but this lady was so nice. She was so proactive. She just started talking to me. And then she ended up being like, yeah, I've been a part of this church and da, da, da. And I walked away from there and, she gave me her name. She invited me to her church. She gave me her name. She's like, yo, if you ever come, just ask for me and da da da. And I remember I walked out of there and I was like, wow, like that lady, like even though I'm already a Christian, right? I was just like, yo, that seed she planted, even as a Christian, it blessed me. But if I wasn't a Christian, it really could have impacted me. And I was like, yo, we don't realize the power we carry with the seeds we plant every day. Just being nice to people, just talking to people. She was just talking to me about something. Like just random conversation. She sparked up. She wasn't forcing me. It wasn't, church came up organically because I asked her where she worked. And it just was an organic conversation. And what's my point with all of that? We plant seeds every day because God gave us something. You have money seeds. You just keep planting them in the wrong yard, in the wrong soil. But if you plant seeds in your lifestyle savings, you will take trips. If you plant seeds in your emergency account, you will be able to afford it more than likely when an emergency occurs. If you plant seeds towards investments. Then you will have future money working for you in the background. And when you get to the future, when you get to a certain point in time, that money will have grown. And then you will have all this. It will seem like you got all this money in all these different places, but it's just reflective of seeds. And sometimes, again, as a believer, when you've done right by people and you've like cared about people, you will start planting seeds. And maybe you have a network or resources all over the place. It's like a tree. It's like a forest of people that, you know, if you need a job, or, you know, people you could call for certain things. And some of us, we feel like we don't have nothing because we haven't planted anything. And if you don't leave this show with nothing else today, I just want you to know that God did give you something for you to be a good steward of. We all have something. No one has nothing. And so I hope that it blesses you both in spiritually, financially, that we understand like, yo, the way that we get a return on our investment is to plant something. Do something with what you have. Don't be lazy. See, it's not about how much of a return you get, whether you get 2 talents or 5 or 1 or whatever. It's about what you do with it. And some of us, we waking up and we're distracted every day and we ain't doing nothing with nothing. Doing something could be like that lady. It could just be being nice is a seed. You at a restaurant, be nice to the waiter or waitress. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what kind of day they're having. Be nice. I was on the phone with somebody today. All right. I'm not going to say who it is. I don't want to out you. I was on the phone with somebody today. This person was ordering a coffee, and you know who you are. And the person, the restaurant didn't put the right amount of sugar or cream, or I don't order coffee, so whatever. They didn't put the right mix in there. The person went back in the store ready to be mad. Remember, I'm on the phone. I can hear the conversation. But the lady was so nice that it disarmed them. The lady was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That's my fault." Like she took accountability. It was like just that one seed that she planted disarmed that person. That's the power that you carry in every day as a believer. But what we do is we see something charged up. We like, oh no, ain't nobody gonna mess up my coffee. I'm about to. And it's like, yo, we planting all these toxic seeds, and then we look around us and wonder why everything is toxic. Why is everything disorderly? So I hope you enjoyed this show. Please do like, share, subscribe, tell somebody about it. You know, Inspire God's People on YouTube. I like to share shorts pretty much every day, 5 to 6 days a week. So check out the shorts. But look, tell somebody to check out the show. Hopefully this bless you. Don't be shy to tell us that you enjoyed the show. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Have an amazing day, man. I got stuff to do, people.